Hey there, this is just a quick demonstration using Spring Boot caching. Our use case, this is just a kind of an MVP testing app, but what we need to do is pre-populate a cache fetching from a database. This application will basically be a middleman. It'll be a source of getting information quickly instead of reaching out to the database. So think of you have application one speaking to the database, doing a large GET request. It's mostly just reading data, and that GET request takes 20 seconds. Well, this app, let's call it application two, pre-populates a cache with all of that data from the database. So application one just speaks to application two, and it receives the data within, say, 2 seconds. Since application two pulled from the database on startup, we don't care how long it takes for this application to start up, as long as it has a good cache while it is up and running. Yeah, so let's go through it line by line. Created this configuration class to get executed immediately before startup of the app with this post construct annotation. So we're pre-populating the database ourselves just because it's a local testing app. So using H2 database. So we're saving 4 cats, and then we call this pre-populate cache from database method, which takes each of those cats in the database and puts them in the cache one by one. Just on this little journey of trying to figure out how to solve this problem, I found out that dealing with lists and collections with caches can be sort of troublesome. So this is the best solution I found. Just do a for each, iterate through all of the cats and place each one in the database with a key of the cat's ID, which is that entity's primary key. So once we start up, we expose 3 endpoints. I'm not really getting much useful caching with this, again, because it's using a list. If I hit it, it's a cache miss, and then every time after that, it's a cache hit. If I post a cat and I hit this, I believe at this point it's still returning the cache that it was previously, which is out of sync with the database. Anyway, let's look at this GET mapping. So we're going to get a cat by its ID and go into cat service and see we have this cacheable annotation, and the key is ID. So remember, we're pre-populating the cache with 4 cats, IDs 1 through 4. When we hit that endpoint, we don't even need to enter the method body. We'll see this, and if we're looking for a cat with an ID 1, 2, 3, or 4, none of this will even be executed, but we'll get the cat. Anything else that doesn't exist in the cache, like getting a cat with an ID of 5, will cause this method to be executed. And we're mocking a hefty database request here by sleeping for 2 seconds. When we create a cat, post mapping, create cat, taking in a cat, and we have this cache put annotation with cat.id. This will automatically update the cache, and say we create a new cat with an ID of 5, we can hit this get cat by ID of 5 endpoint without executing the method body. It'll return it directly from the cache, very quick. So let's see all of this in action. Start up and we'll watch for these logs. Alright, so we can see here. And we can verify with our H2 console. Looking at some stuff there. All right, we see we have those 5 cats in the database. So let's head over to Postman. Let's get a cat by its ID. Let's first clear these logs so we can see whether or not we get any logs. So we should see this one until we hit our service layer and take from the cache. So we should not see this log. 46 milliseconds. So goes from the controller to the service layer, sees this cache annotation, and the cache hit. So let's try a cat that doesn't exist. So 2 seconds, doesn't exist. We can see the log. So now let's add, I'll add twice, so we get ID of 6. Now let's see if we can get that from the cache, or if we have to execute the method. So directly from the cache, 4 milliseconds. Pretty cool. Again, our use case, the problem I'm trying to solve by creating this little testing app is for work to implement an application that is basically just a middleman database on startup. It makes an HTTP, a REST template request, and grabs like 20,000 objects and stores them in a cache. Hopefully, it doesn't crash the application and overflow its memory, but we'll see. That's how you can pre-populate a cache. And this is just a plain old Spring cache. I'm not using any other libraries like memcache or ecache or anything like that. Just plain old Spring. Yeah.